So Adweek had a really interesting recap on some of the key takeaways from the NewFronts. And according to IAB research, the typical American spends over 15 hours a month watching nearly 250 videos, which is just staggering, right? And when it comes to discovery, over 90% of the time it's happening through a social media or content feed. Only 8% of the time it's through search, and 2% of the time it's through direct sharing, like through email. So the implication for brands is that, so many spend all this time on the creation of the asset and not as much time on the distribution. And that's why it's so potent and powerful to partner with social media influencers, where you can authentically and organically tap into their following, and trying to figure out some of these creative ways to forge these partnerships to ensure that your content that you spent all this money creating has a chance of being seen. So the IAB also released their Internet Advertising Revenue Report, which said that the global digital advertising market grew 21% to $88 billion in 2017. However, 90% of that growth was driven by Google and Facebook. And one of the factors of that growth that they talked about in the report was, some of these online upstarts, some of these direct-to-consumer brands that are using these platforms, using these technologies in a very nimble and innovative way to market. And I think the implication for larger brands and advertisers is, if you don't want to cede your market share, is to look into some of these newer approaches, look into video, look into influencers. All right, who has heard of virtual influencers? This is a phenomenon that is growing. There's influencers named Shudu Graham and Lil Miquela. They are not real, but they've got over 1 million followers on Instagram. They've even done brand partnerships. I am skeptical at the engagement that you'll see from the people who follow them. I think a lot of people follow them out of novelty. I do think that you'll probably start seeing more video from some of these virtual influencers as AI gets better, and Google Duplex, if you've seen some of those demos, it's kind of crazy. But again, I think this is on the bleeding edge for most marketers right now and not really worth pursuing. So Porch put out some really interesting research called Cooking Nightmares, a generational look at capabilities in the kitchen. They surveyed about 750 people. About 50% were millennials, 35% Gen X, and 15% baby boomers. They found that 2 in 3 millennials actually watch internet videos to learn how to cook. They follow along with these recipe tutorials, right? And those who do watch those videos, it seems, are better cooks. They actually quiz them on just basic food preparation, and kitchen knowledge, and they performed way better than those who don't watch those type of videos. This study is chock full of interesting facts, but kind of the general trend that they found was that as each generation passes, people are cooking at home less and less. And I think for marketers, the implication is, needing to be very cognizant of this in your marketing, in your product development and design. And Facebook may be getting deeper into influencer marketing. There have been some leaked screenshots that show that Facebook may be developing a tool to connect advertisers with creators on the platform. I'm not sure if this is in response to, all of the creators, all of the brands and advertisers that have, had to take a good hard look at their Facebook strategy after their organic reach and their engagement just plummeted after all the algorithm changes recently, right? And so this is Facebook's kind of self-serve solution. They said that they're not going to be involved in brokering or taking a cut, at least for now. But if you look at kind of the other end of the spectrum, this is kind of what Trending Family does. We like to say that there's so much more than just discovery. That's kind of the tip of the iceberg, right? There's the creative services, there's the campaign management, there are, the post-campaign reporting. There's just so much involved in launching a successful influencer campaign than just discovery. So it will be interesting to see where Facebook takes this.